Hey, we're talking Shakespeare and politics this morning as the latest act in this drama that is the Republican presidential primary process comes to a close this Tuesday, March 15th, the Ides of March. I had a chance to talk this week with Governor John Kasich about his path forward, a path that would need to include a contested convention, a conversation we put in the context of Ohio presidential history. I'm going to throw a date at you. May 6th, 1952, a week before John Kasich is born. You know what happened on that date?
No, I don't.
Robert Taft was the last Ohioan to win the Ohio primary as a presidential candidate.
Really? Is that right? That's pretty cool.
And he had 750,000 more popular votes in the country than Eisenhower did, but he didn't get the nomination. Does that set the stage? I mean, you see us going, in a sense, that direction with the contested convention.
Well, look, I think we should not get ahead of ourselves when it comes to the convention. I mean, I've talked about it probably more than I should have, getting ahead of myself a little bit. Because politics is, John, as you know, what is true today is not necessarily true tomorrow. That's why I think we're interested in it. But if we were to go to a convention, look, let me put it to you in simple terms. When you and I were in school, if you made an 86 on your test, you didn't get an A, you got a B. And so if nobody can get to 90 and get an A, well, then we're going to have a convention and talk about it.
And talk about the strategy involved, though. One of the first things that you showed me in the ceremonial office down in Columbus was Salmon Chase's bust.
Yeah.
And that comes into play because he was that presidential candidate, former Ohio governor.
Right.
He helped make Lincoln what he was.
Well, you actually wanted to beat Lincoln, and Ohio didn't come through for him, which is interesting. Lincoln, on the other hand, was never anybody's first choice. He always said, well, if I can't be your first choice, can I be your second choice? And when the first choice fell, Lincoln became president. A lot of history in this state. And you're right about that. I hadn't really thought that much about McKinley and that much about Salmon P. Chase and all that. It's interesting. It's amazing how Ohio always ends up somehow being the geographical center of presidential campaigns. And it's happening again. With our own guy, our favorite son, I hope. I'm your favorite son, I hope.
Kasich's campaign and the super PAC supporting him have a slew of volunteers going door to door and making phone calls across the state, but one of them has a story like few others.
Hey, is this Miss Deborah? My name is Brett Smith. I'm a volunteer that supports John Kasich for president. And I was just wondering if we could count on your support Tuesday in the primary.
Making calls in Rocky River on behalf of John Kasich is Brett Smith, a college student from Georgia.
I'm from Franklin, Georgia, but no one knows where that is, so I usually say Noonan, and people usually don't know where that is, so I just say south of Atlanta.
If Brett looks or sounds familiar, this is why. At the end of a South Carolina campaign stop, he told Kasich of losing a father figure to suicide, his parents going through a divorce, and his dad losing his job.
But I found hope. And I found it in the Lord and in my friends. And now I've found it in my presidential candidate that I support. And I'd really appreciate one of those hugs you've been talking about.
Within hours, the moment would be replayed across the country. He knew C-SPAN was there that day.
But, I thought maybe my grandma might see me. I didn't think,
Brett, who decided to use his spring break to help Kasich in Ohio, has been enjoying his newfound celebrity status, especially here in Ohio.
It's kind of neat to have people know who you are and recognize you, and especially know you for something that's positive, and so I've gotten a lot of hugs lately here in Ohio, so that's been fun.
Well, you won't get a hug when you vote early in this election. You will get a sticker, though. Early voting continues at the Board of Elections today, with polls open from 1 to 5. Tomorrow, though, remember, early voting ends early at 2 p.m. The pace has at times been brisk in Cuyahoga County, where 70% of voters are nonpartisan. If you are independent and want to vote in either the Democratic or Republican primary Tuesday, it's very simple.
When you go to vote on election day, the poll worker will ask you what type of ballot would you like to vote today. And you request a Republican ballot, a Democratic ballot, or a Green Party ballot.
And then once you do that, you are a member of that party,
Absolutely. Then you become a registered member of that particular party that you choose to vote in March 15th election.
And has been the case in recent years, these are the numbers that are tallied first, so we should have a pretty good indication early in this night how this night is progressing. Well, we started with Julius Caesar and Shakespeare, may as well end that way as I paraphrase, the fault, dear Brutus, lies not in our stars, but in ourselves. The power to vote is yours. The decision to do so is as well. With Democracy 2016, I'm John Kasich. Enjoy your Sunday.